So everything's deep back. Itself, you want it obviously to be conformationally correct. Okay, alright, so we went through each of the items. Why don't we just identify some that you guys think you'd like to walk through the list of where we have that? So we look at the angle both the front and the rear of those. And you can see, I've never went by the exact angle measurement. You can find some exact angle measurement recommendations for people from dairy calves. I do more visually, but taking a look at her, you can see hopefully that she's got a fairly decent angle at that point. But again, she's a show cow, and we just, got her trimmed up. So many cows at home are not going to have a hook trim right with the show. And you need to be able to look at that as a classifier and see what the angle is. But let me find that. So if you look at the ability on item 2, I don't think she's probably right there on the linear scale, maybe 4 or 5 in that area. I think she could stand a little more heel depth, even with having a recent hoof trimming. And I think I would say that on both front and rear foot. So I would probably score her as a 4. Anyone else got any thoughts, ideas on where that would be? Looking at your confirmation guide. You're looking at over here. Think I got that about right? 3. So 70 says 3, so there's some variability.
So what I'm looking at is the angle of the cornet band.
So the
and the length, the distance between the hair, the cornet band, and the brown.
So see, there's the advantage. That's my cow.
Big high. Do we want to be honest or not? I mean, we have to be with our own cows. Yeah, right.
Even me looking at this, that's my cow. I'd probably bump her up maybe a point higher than she should have.
It's easy to do. I would do the same thing.
She's objective. She's our objective class type. So she said 3. That is probably a more valuable assessment than mine on my cow.
And I know this doesn't come into play, but if I look at the baby, so that's cheating.
So the cornet band is the hair right around the top of the hoof.
The hair where the hard hoof meets the hair.
So all right, so 3 maybe. So she can stand some heel depth. Everyone see that? We like that a little more upright. Very good. What other areas do we want to take a look at? here on what we understand it's so first of all, let's take a look at the rear udder height. Hopefully you can see the pleats that Stephanie was talking about before. Now she's a third cow. So you can see the pleats. They're coming up, they're right in, and they're right there. That's about what I'd say your rear udder height is. You can feel the difference when you get in there and feel the skin texture softens when you start getting on the other skin. And then it gets more coarse. At least that's kind of how I think. It's primarily a visual look. So, come here, Stephanie. You'll be my objective. Watch the car. No,
No, I like the legs. No, udder's great.
Yeah. So,
Probably one of the better Dexter heights there is.
So on rear udder height, I think she could go higher, obviously. Well, and that's a good point. Stephanie just said, I think she could go higher. Stephanie said, I don't think you're going to find it. That's exactly why we need to do this. We need to know, not just show cows, our entire herd as a nation, our association. Where are we at on rear udder height? Third or fourth? Third. Third. So that's exactly right. So I would probably place her for rear udder height, maybe a 7. Is that all right, objective classifier? It's smooth as the other, yeah. But when it starts getting tighter, when it starts getting tighter, and it's almost the hair is closer, that's kind of what it is. Yeah. But you shouldn't have to feel it, you ought to be able to look. Okay, so while we're looking there, her teeth placement, I think, obviously could be better. So her teeth placement is not, her front teeth or her back teeth are a little farther in, are wider set. We like those square. You can see, I think Stephanie was talking about the rear udder fluff there, number 3. So Stephanie mentioned her medial could be a little tighter, a little stronger. And I think I would agree with that. But again, from my barn side, it's going to be hard to find a lot right now. She's got a fairly good medial. But if I was being honest, I would put it 5-ish, 6, 5.5. Patty's agreeing with me on that, that's good. Yeah. So we'll get to that. Oh, yeah. And that's why the teeth placement is a little different, I think. That it's stronger, the medial, Stephanie mentioned, is stronger in the front rather than in the back. Okay, so while she's there, let's take a look at the four-udder hat. I think it's a pretty good four-udder hat. Again, that's the connection of the front of the other. I would go.
Am I making her nervous?
On a linear scale, about a 6. Anybody got a different opinion on that? The 5. So I was saying 6. I was saying on the higher end of that. If it's not in the ideal range, it could be flatter. longer towards the navel. All right. So that's quite a few of her other traits. So let's take a look at.
So
I mentioned body depth. This is one of my favorites. And I think we take a look at her depth. So measure overall body depth primarily at the rib cage in the animal midsection.
So we're looking
at, right in this area here. I look at it all across. I don't focus on one single when I'm looking at depth. But I mean, I would put her probably a 7. Could be better, but she's pretty deep. And I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it's what I use. It seems to have worked for a long time, judging body depth, because it can be deceiving depending upon the frame size a little bit and the leg length. But if you look at the elbow on the cow, identify the elbow. Draw a line from that elbow straight back. I want body depth in my cows that from the point of that elbow all the way back is below it. And if the loin is right even with it, or not the loin, but the flank is right even with it, that's ideal. So you identify the point of the elbow, and then draw a straight, level line. If you want to see you want to see the ribs, the belly, and ideally the flank right at or below that line. That's going to give you a good count. So I said she was on the linear scale of 7. Yes. Get a different grade. So, see, even with a bunch of us that are untrained classifiers, in 15 minutes, we're coming to some real congruence on our scoring, just talking this through. Trained classifiers go to multiple trainings for days and go through this all day long with multiple cows, specific to the breed. If we would have at some point a linear classification system, hopefully we would have a bunch of people sitting right here that are paid classifiers, that we would be walking this through, discussing it, having experts from the association here to say, no, you're missing that. That may be the case for jerseys, but it's not the case for Dexters. And that happens, and that's how these classifiers become objective and trained in what they're looking at. It's not just us showing up and coming to some agreement on that. We're trained to do this. So I'm very encouraged that we're coming to some agreement. Yes, Daddy.
Can you mention that how they're trained when they have their annual school or their annual meeting, and they all evaluate the same cow, and they compare how they scored that cow because their objective is to try to be consistent in their scoring. So then they have to discuss how each one of them is rating a cow or scoring a cow to try to get them to be consistent from classifier to classifier within the breed.
Okay, so Patty was asking to go through a little bit more about how the classifiers were trained, but basically what they're doing is an iterator reliability assessment exercise. Say we had 10 classifiers here, each one of them is independently classifying this cow. Are you guys all right? Classifying this cow. Those scores are then compared, and they come back and they will determine oh, you said this, well, I said this is why. And they come to agreement amongst themselves so they're consistent from 1 to 10. That's also important. They have to do it right, but they also have to all do it right. So if I get Stephanie as a classifier, I'm going to get this relatively same score as if I get Patty as a classifier. All right.
And Mark is on the town for us.
Okay.
So star 1 is the wrong thing. So this is a side view measurement. Okay.
So the wrong angle, as you can see on the diagram, is
From
from
the hooks to the hands.
okay. So the best way to do that is obviously get back and look. And then it's on
The best that you have.
here. So that's about the wrong angle. So you measure from the back hook.
So you measure from the hook to the pin bone. You know where those pin bones are, those hard bones in the back of the computer on either side of the pig. And you want to see that angle. So the first is you can feel it hitting the angle right there. You're going like this.
And that's
That's one of those measurements that you could identify an ideal effective linear to actual measure. And I think I've done that with some pictures when I'm trying to figure out what it was. And I'm not sure how accurate it was, but I think I was looking at my ideal angle was right around 8 degrees down from the hook to the pin. And that's really what you want. I think she has a really good hook to pin angle. I would give her a 5 on that. She's right in the middle. I wouldn't want any higher. I wouldn't want any lower. Those thoughts? Good. So now we're here at 6. So I'd say she's a little more sloped than what I saw, but still within the ideal range. Yeah, so the importance of this for functional traits is calving ease. You don't want the calf to have to go up and you want the calf to go up. And there's also some health-related issues, I think, with the tailhead set and the roller and here. Yes, Sue.
Was dead flat, was that still good or?
If she were completely flat, I mean, I would say it's exactly flat is somewhere around 3 or 4. It has to be, but we don't really have an image for that. We'll try it. But, and I don't know if anyone has any thoughts about, if you gotta go one way or the other on the pin angle, obviously down is better than up. So, in that small ideal range, a 4 is better than a 6 in some way. But you got to think about, you're not just evaluating this cow, you're evaluating what her progeny might also carry. So you don't want to increase that trait down the other side. What other traits do we want to look at before she's just absolutely done? So we're looking at the rear legs. We're wanting to see if she's cow-hopped. It's unfortunate they call this cow-hopped because, I mean, it suggests that cows are this way, which we don't want them to be. That's good. Okay, so what we're looking at in there is from this leg to this leg, and she's not standing the best, but we get behind her, we take a look, take her out, and I would go,
She got a little hustle in her step.
yeah, she wants to get back to the game. She's certainly not Cadillac. I would probably go over some of the instances, you can take her right there. And one of our objectives says 8. So I was harder on my own cow there than the objective that we can.
And the thing is every time she stops, yeah, it's straight.
Yeah, so Stephanie
We're
was
not
saying,
faking anything.
Stephanie was saying, look at your cows, and every time they're walking around and when they stop, some of them will stop like this, some of them will stop. And every time she stopped, she was basically the same stance in terms of the width. That suggests, I mean, that's a pretty fixed width she's got there. So she would have been somewhere in the 7-8 range. Nice and wide, what we want. So Kevin's asking, what age do you start seeing some of these characteristics? Again, you can't really classify females anyway until they're fresh, at 2 or whatever they have. But then Stephanie mentioned you can look at heifers. If anyone's got a heifer they want to bring up, we can take a look at it.
See if they're cow hot.
Yeah.
You can see if they have no heel. You can see, yeah, you can see if they are sloping. You can see these things.
Yeah, so,
And you're not going to hold true to them, but you will see. Right.
so yes, you can use pieces of this as a confirmation guide at a fairly young age. I mean, I wouldn't do it until they're 6 months at least, unless. Looking at the pleats on the back, you can see, give you some idea what the height of the udder is going to be. You can certainly look at pin width. You can certainly look at length. One area we didn't cover that I wanted to cover before she got out of here was the muscling areas. So let's turn to those. Does anyone else have a cow they want to bring? Otherwise, let's see if we can get somebody else. So this will be a good challenge for us because this is obviously no, there's how old? So an 18-month heifer. I think it's safe to say this is going to be a smaller framed animal than the one we had in here before. So it's a good exercise for us in looking at a smaller framed animal on these traits. So what we were going to look for in this end, we were focused on muscling, Alyssa. So let's take a look at the muscling, a couple of those measures. We want to look at the groin, should be thick and wide. So we're looking across the top of the back right here. I suggest as well. So I don't have a diagram of this, that's something that I work on or future information on this. It is getting more visual images across this width, but in my mind, I think that should at least be the lowest, no less than that. So I think this end would be a little bit of the width across the volume, even if it's 18 foot. And we really have a visual assessment of that. Given there's an traits such as just an overall muscling assessment. And then, yes.
One thing I want to caution you is normally we don't do classification on animals less than 2 years old.
Right.
So this one still has a lot of growth and development, and they can grow kind of like a teenager, all legs first, and then the rest of their body, or all
Yeah,
their body.
she's probably still putting on flame. And I'm not assessing them.
Right.
We're just trying to show you where the traits are.
I just want people to know that you wouldn't be classifying
Oh.
that young of an animal, and they need time. After she has a calf, her body is not going to look like that. No, that is okay, Jeff. I am okay.
So, and then the other area we're looking at, in terms of muscling, is the hindquarters. I haven't seen as much as I used to. We used to have active butt sessions in which the muscle will start here, stop here, and then everything will roll up as well. That's not what we want. So a lot of these, this muscle is accelerating here.
From behind to be a bit rounded, and then
There's a diagram of that.
some roundness to that. And then
We also want some roundness in the side. This one. We don't want them to look like single jewels.
Like what? Oh, the blue.
Kind of muscle count. We don't want them to look like that because we already do it for videos. You don't want to be, you want to be all weak, you want to be all consistent. So there needs to be some roundness on both sides and roundness around some. And I think that's an area where our condition guy can do some improvement on and describing that better, what we're looking for in muscle corrections. I think that's an area that it could be some really good improvement. Oh, Belgian blues are double muscled animals. They look like hogs to me. Their hindquarters are just, but really they eat pretty well. They can calve.
I have a 2-year-old steer that he looks pretty good now, but at 10 months, I called him the warthog because he was so incredible, and he was just. We've been to South Africa and seen the warthogs there, and he looked like a warthog.
So that was describing, I guess, an ugly animal. It did not meet breed type in terms of, because there's no way you could look at the description of the Dexter animal and say that's an ugly animal. I mean, Dexter's in the breed type and description are very so this animal changed over time, so it's the ugly duckling story. So that's, and Babette's point is that's why we don't look at an animal at less than 2 years for classification.
Take this off the website, and they think they're going to go evaluate their herd, and they don't know the limitations of it, and they may be calling animals that, given time, would have developed into very, very nice, productive, long-lived breed type. I mean, they will look much better. Sometimes calves, younger calves, whether it's their own fault or the environment that they're in or nutritional deficiencies or whatever they're dealing with, their development doesn't meet your expectations. And yet, given time and the right circumstances, they can look much better than what they look like at 6 months old or 7 months old.
Okay, so we'll emphasize again, do not use this tool on an animal less than 2 years of age. Do not use this tool on an animal less than 2 years of age. The one we have in here is for demonstration purposes.
My experience is mainly in horses, but I'm seeing it cross over into the cattle. I have certain animals that grow real fast their first
you've seen that as well. Some lines grow at a much higher or quicker rate than others. That also is something we could look at adding in terms of perhaps not a classification system, but part of a production measurement system of frame size at what age and that type of thing. But that's a good point. Other areas that we want to look at, like how we would not otherwise do this on.
Let's see the back end.
Well,
I don't want to do a trade report on this anymore because chest width, we're not the other way. So chest width, obviously, we're looking right in here.
yeah, I didn't think she'd like
Sorry,
that.
Dad.
No,
Touch me there.
so we're looking right across the brisket. What is the width of that? We're not. All right, this will take a back. Now we can do this on an animal that you would do this on. So this is a first calf. So a 2-year-old. It's a 2-year-old. Towards this.
That's the front width.
And since we can,
And I think, oh, that's really narrow. And then I look at another and I think, oh, that's too wide. And is there a measurement? That's the point.
Look at this and let's face it, let's see how it is. Look at those images. And you get her squared up here. You get her squared.
okay, so a bit of a show preparation there. She's got good width. I wouldn't call it certainly not an 8 or 9. I'd go 6 maybe. What do you think, Stephanie? Yeah, she's 2. Okay, so if we were classifiers, you would be, I might be doing a reverse barn-sided thing. I might feel a little sensitive about judging mine too low. Okay, so let's turn her around and do udder depth. You mean udder height? Oh, udder depth. Okay. Yeah, so she's the first question, and Stephanie mentioned yesterday that Dexters and dairy cows are going to have, they're going to get full production. And what did you say, Stephanie? The third lactation. So she's got another lactation before her udder is going to be mature. But at this point, her teeth size may be bordering on a bit too small for my taste, and I think we looked at the guidelines. Her front attachment at this point is really long and tight. Yeah, it's good. But again, she's a 2-year-old. I would expect that, I don't think that's going to break down between now and when she's classified again in 4 years, 3 years. So her front attachment is really tight. Obviously her height is really tight. She's producing milk. We know we haven't milked her yet this year, but she has a very high up udder. But again, she's 2.
If you wouldn't want to see a 2-year-old with an udder almost, I don't think, to the hops already.
because it's not going to stay there. And then if you look at her rear udder height, I don't think she's quite as high in the rear udder as the one we had out there before. So in the back, so the height of the udder, rear height. This is more in here. Again, she's a 3-year-old woman. It'll be interesting to see what that's added, the next classification.
No, use your eyeball and then verify it. Don't do it the other way.
I'm sorry, use your eyeballs to do these things, particularly on that field. And then once you think you know where it's at, then put your hands on it to confirm. Otherwise, you'll be addicted to it. The only way I can do this is feel. She's just 2, so she just had her first cat. I'm sorry. We typically breed at 15 months, I don't remember exactly. Any other comments, questions, any other things we need to know what time we're at? What time is it? Oh, we got time. Are you guys finding this valuable? Do you think something like this in a systematic manner would be good for the association to work with? Yes, sir.
Because I think before we look at going forward, we need to look back to see why it didn't work and how we evaluate that before we encourage everybody to do this. And are we going to have all the things in place to prevent what happened before? And I think folks need to know it kind of petered out. So I think we have to address the not so good, and there are many positives to this. But oh, absolutely. Education committee put that out there. I have no objection to any of this, but I have a concern about starting this up big time again and having it go nowhere.
No, that's an excellent point. That's why the board decided to put together a work group to figure out why classification, this linear classification system did not work for the previous implementation, why that occurred. So I think there are several reasons, but I think that's what our work group is trying to figure out. What are the barriers to making this work? What are they looking for? One of the primary is no one participating.
I think the other thing is on the nose. I think that's going to be the biggest.
And there were multiple reasons I think why birds across the country didn't participate, and I think we need to hear from you on what concerns you have about doing this, and what, why, in addition to the negative, why you wouldn't do it, why you would do it, all of the semis or crucial participating, and how the system can be put together to be beneficial to you as an ACA member and the association. Well, we don't know that. We're not even discussing. We're just trying to figure out if we can do something like this. That's what we're gathering. What we're all but there's a specific question about cost. In my mind, it was incredibly reasonable 12 years ago. You could have the professional evaluator come and evaluate every one of your animals that was eligible for 10 months ahead with a minimum of $100. I mean, most of us don't have 20, 30. We didn't have the money. Yeah, and having a
professional classification at a show is not the way to do it. That's not what a professional classifier is paid to do. Particularly if he's an invited, if he's an invited guest of an association, that puts some barn-sidedness on people that they shouldn't be subjected to. This should be an on-farm assessment by the classifier. You have no idea what it costs.
But
4 years ago, it was $10 a head, minimum of $100. Because these guys were traveling across the country doing dairy herds and other herds as well, so.
How did you try to get participation? What were you doing before that didn't work, so we know?
Well, I think that's something we'll investigate, but the association before put out stuff in the bulletin. I think we had some demonstrations at the AGM shows, those types of things. I think, again, this is my personal opinion, this is not part of the work group or an association. I think we need to incentivize it, not just the things I talked about, the benefits of you and your herd, but we need to incentivize it in terms of how this will help you market your animals and improve your herd. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Information in the herd law.
Hopefully we'll get there in my lifetime. Yes, sir.
I did not do it because I was interested, but they had.
let's hear you.
I was interested, but I was to be a certain place in lactation.
You had to be in lactation.
You had to be in lactation, yes. And the number of people who were trying to do that is a common as well as the number of houses that were in lactation.
Sort of brings up a good point, and that's one of the difficulties in implementation is the cows have to be in lactation. And the classifiers are not in every state all the time. They rotate around the country. So there's a classification schedule. So for next year, I would submit a request for classification. And that's because the classifiers are going to be in Nebraska in June. I know I'm going to have lactating cows in June. Next year, they're not going to be in Nebraska until December. I'm not going to schedule a classification because I have the cows lactating in December. So, and that kind of limits the number of times you can do classification. So, you know, realistically, we're talking for any herd over a length of time, any one cow is probably going to get 3, maybe 4. I would say at the most classification. No one that I know is talking about this being a requirement for anything. This would be voluntary based on the herd and the farm, what they want to do. But hopefully the benefits will outweigh any. But that's the thing we need to do.
Sorry to interrupt. This is the last call for the visitor. You have to have one of your teachers. Now's the time to go.
Alyssa, where is the hoof terminal located? by the wash routes, the whole crew is by the wash routes.
You want your cows hoof trimmed? Anything else?
Can you give us just a high level on how to find players? Where do you find the best players?
Well, right now, there are no identified Dexter class players. None such exist. No, I did in the past, and we had
If ABCA did implement this, would we have specifically Dexter trained class players?
yeah, you can't do it without being trained specifically in the middle breed system. It's impossible to do. All right, well, this is great. Thank you all for your attention and all the great questions.